As you rightly say there, the number 10 position is one of the biggest talking points, isn't it? And Thomas Tuchel has shown before he is not afraid to ruffle feathers, not afraid to not pick Jude Bellingham. Well, he's just come back, so will he get called up?
I think he will, yeah. And I think that's because of the importance of this squad more than anything else. I'm not sure Jude Bellingham will be able to play much in terms of both of those games against Uruguay and Japan because he's training again with Real Madrid, as you're seeing right there, but he didn't feature for them against Manchester City at all, and he's been out with this hamstring problem since February the 1st. So a big call for him to have the intensity to get straight back in, but I think Thomas Tuchel will want lots of meetings with his senior players to talk about logistics, talk about plans for the World Cup, which is only 3 months away, and so I think he will want Bellingham there for sure. And it's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because we had Morgan Rogers, who was ahead of Jude Bellingham in terms of the qualifying matches for selection at number 10. You've got Phil Foden, you've got Cole Palmer, you've got Eberici Eze. And I don't think all of those can go. I don't think there's room for all of them in Thomas Tuchel's squad. And he has suggested that he won't take all of those number 10s just because they're big names. So everybody's got an opinion on it, and I think it'll be a fascinating one. Morgan Rogers, his form has dropped off a little bit for Aston Villa, as has Phil Foden's, as has Cole Palmer's. Probably Ebere Eze a little bit ahead of them because he's got the versatility to play on the wing more comfortably as well, and he was outstanding, wasn't he, in midweek with that wonder goal in the Champions League. But we're asking for opinions. Ashley, what are your thoughts? Everybody's got an opinion on England's number 10s. Who do you think might miss out? Who do you think should go?
For me, Rob, the name that probably no one else is saying, the starting position, if it was me, would be Eze.
Really?
Yes, I would put my faith in Eze. I think he always performs when he's asked. He hasn't played enough for Arsenal, but when he has played, I think he's been brilliant. And if you look down the list, you've got Bellingham. You know, he plays for Real Madrid. He's great in big moments. Yes, he goes, but the problem potentially with Jude Bellingham going is if he doesn't start, how does he deal with that? And then if you go down, you've got Cole Palmer, he goes for me all day. Morgan Rogers, we've already said the manager likes him, I think he goes. The one that's the real risk is probably Phil Foden at the minute. You know, I don't think he's had a great season, which probably isn't his fault. He just hasn't been selected. And sometimes, you know, as a player, it's hard when you come off the bench or you're in and you're out the squad. You just want a run of games. You want a run of games to show what you can do. But I do think it'd be wise for Thomas Tuchel to make a statement to say this is the guy I'm going with, and then manage the other 10s that you take with you and say, look, I'm going with, if it's Eze, I'm going with Eze at the minute, but it's up to you in training and when you get your chance to go and take the shirt off him. But with all this who's starting and who's not starting, it just causes a bit of confusion. I think clear it up from now, but what's interesting about the squad announcement tomorrow is, does he do any experimentation, or is this the one? You'd think probably this is the one that he's going to go with, barring any injuries.
Yeah. Rob, you mentioned there that he can't take everyone, can he, in that number 10 position? And how about in general, who are the big names at risk of not getting selected in this squad?
Well, I think Ashley's hit the nail on the head there about what we don't know from this squad. Is there going to be still experimentation, or is this Thomas Tuchel stamping his identity and choices on the squad that he picks tomorrow to say, right, this is the nucleus of what I want for the World Cup squad? Look, there's some big names at risk. We've mentioned them already. Phil Foden, Cole Palmer and Eberici Eze. I don't think there's room for all three of them in a World Cup squad of 25. I just don't think there is. And so the thought of one of them maybe missing out would be huge, because they all have huge reputations. But the man on your screen now, Cole Palmer, has had a lot of injury problems this season and isn't, by his very own ridiculously high standards, in his best run of form right now. Neither are Chelsea, by the way. And you'd have to say the same about Phil Foden, who's had only one goal involvement, one assist since the turn of the year. For Manchester City, despite having a great first half of the season. So I think Foden, Palmer and Eze will all be very, very nervous about whether they'll be included. And I think Ollie Watkins will up front as well, because who's going to be the understudy to Harry Kane? Ollie Watkins has done brilliant things for England in the past. We will all remember that semi-final goal against the Netherlands that took England to the Euros final in Berlin a couple of summers ago. But his form for Villa isn't great right now. So does that leave the door open potentially for Danny Welbeck or Dominic Calvert Calvert-Lewin? Or does Thomas Tuchel just go with Harry Kane, who's in extraordinary form, and maybe think about a false nine if Kane isn't available? Again, all of these issues, I think, are going to be answered tomorrow.